Alright, so welcome to part two of two in this quick overview of influences that led to the Declaration of Independence. So let's break some British hearts and talk about the Declaration of Independence a little bit, which I like to call America's favorite break-up letter. Alright, so the first Declaration of Independence was actually drafted in Virginia early in 1776, and the second Declaration of Independence, the one that we all know and love, was drafted and signed into effect on the 4th of July, 1776. There was shouting in the streets and jubilant exultation everywhere, and both of these declarations were influenced largely by the Enlightenment, and there was one guy that played a huge role in both, and that was the original heartbreaker, Thomas Jefferson. And so in the Declaration, it is divided into four basic parts, and all of these parts kind of revolve around this idea of these Enlightenment principles. And remember, these are our four Enlightenment principles that we already talked about. You guys have already written these down, so you don't need to get these down again. But the law-like order of the natural world, the power of human reason, the idea that everybody is born with certain natural rights, and that society will improve and get better. Alright, so the four main parts that the Declaration is divided into. You've got the preamble, you have the largest section, which is the grievances, or the complaints, the arguments. You have the reconciliation attempts, and you have the actual declaration. So we're going to go and look at each one of those sections individually. So to kick it off, we'll look at the preamble, which kicks everything off, because that's what it means. So in the preamble, we see some Enlightenment principles like natural rights. We see equality under God, that it doesn't matter what religion you belong to, what social class, you are equal under one maker. There's the line, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which this was before copyright, and before when you could really sue someone for stealing your work. Um, Thomas Jefferson stole this almost word for word from John Locke, who had an idea of life, liberty, and property. And then there's also this idea of consent of the governed, that the only reason that the government exists is because the people allow it to exist. And so all of these big ideas are in just a couple sentences in the actual preamble. So then we get to the largest section, the grievances. And the grievances, some of the big American complaints, and there are a lot of these, so these are just some big ones here, that they disbanded representative bodies. The king, the British government, took away the Americans' parliaments. They took away their governments. They took away their lawmaking, their representative bodies. They took away their opportunity to meet and gripe and participate in British government. They removed elected officials. They charged taxes for paying royal salaries, and they kept a standing army, which was a complaint from back at the time of the end of the French and Indian War. So in the reconciliation attempts, it just describes the ways and the number of times that the colonists tried making peace with King George and the government, and they refused, and they tried, and they refused, and so on and so forth, just on and on and on, this same kind of pattern. And then lastly, America broke Britain's heart. It was too late to apologize. The Declaration is the colonists' goodbye, and it's important to remember that every signer below the Declaration was signing his death sentence if the Americans lost the war. This was a huge gamble. They were outgunned, outnumbered, outmanned, outplanned. If they lost this treasonous act, this rebellion, the founding fathers of our country that we know would have probably been hanged in Boston or in New York or in England, and it is hard telling what would have happened. So this was a major gamble that they were taking in the Declaration, but obviously for them it paid off. So that's it. That's that section. We'll talk about the Declaration a little bit more when I get back. We'll just kind of compare things and make sure you guys have a pretty good understanding of how it all went down. So again, go back, catch anything that you missed. There's another video on here that I would like you guys to take a look at if you have not yet, just for a little brain break. And then it's something that you will start on and we will finish up tomorrow in class. All right, see ya.